So you did do a bit better than what most people expected you would do going backwards. There's some guidance going forward. Give us your sense as the CFO of Johnson & Johnson. What do these numbers tell us about where Johnson & Johnson is and where it's headed?
Sure. Good morning, David. Great to be with you today. Johnson & Johnson had a tremendous year in 2023, and I think it was really capped off by a very strong fourth quarter. Whether you're looking at our innovative medicine, what our pharmaceutical group is called now, or med tech, with 9% growth in each of those segments in the fourth quarter, really capped off a really prolific year and where we solidified our foundation. As I look forward to 2024, that positions us very well. We had the opportunity to deploy capital not only with an acquisition of Abiomed, a heart pump manufacturer, 13 months ago for $17 billion. Throughout the course of 2023, we deployed or announced capital commitments for another $3 billion, more than $3 billion, for more than 50 licensing deals or smaller acquisitions. Now, those typically aren't headlines when we sign them, but they often become headlines for patients when we launch products through them. So we fortified our pipeline. We surpassed all expectations we had this time last year for 2023, and we feel very comfortable with the guidance that we've provided for 2024. I know in the tee-up there was a little bit of a inferment of that sales for pharma in the second half of this year might be a little bit softer. That is not a surprise to us. That is a loss of exclusivity on J&J's largest product ever, Stara. But we are so well positioned with our pipeline of products across oncology, immunology, and neuroscience to position not only to just digest it, but to actually grow through the loss of that largest product.
Joe, you took me straight to it, because Stara was going to be my question as that comes off of patent. You're going to have to replace that in the pipeline, as you've referred to the pipeline. Can you do that without buying some other company?
We certainly can, David. Again, we had the chance to speak with investors in December at the New York Stock Exchange with our Analyst Day. And what we highlighted to them was 10 assets within our portfolio that have the opportunity and really the potential to be more than $5 billion in peak year sales. So that doesn't only bode well for the short term here of 2024 and 2025 as we digest Stara, it really bodes well for the second half of this decade and into the next decade. We also shouldn't overlook the fact that our med tech performance has quite frankly been stellar. We had 9% growth in the fourth quarter. We've been on I'll say a cadence of annual improvement in terms of the growth out of that segment, and we are now playing in the upper echelon of our peer set there. So we feel very confident about not just what lies ahead in the near term, but also the long term.
Joe, help those of us who are not scientists understand what your clinical trials are doing right now. As you're developing new drugs to try to replace some of the ones you're losing, which are the ones that you think hold the greatest promise? And I guess what I mean by that, both probability of success and also magnitude.
Yep. So the ones we identified cover a number of areas such as bladder cancer. That has a very nice feature in that it's not only a therapeutic, but it also is a pretzel-like device that sits on the tumor itself, which really minimizes, I would say, side effects that are typically come with cancer treatment. We're also in lung cancer. Our multiple myeloma portfolio, it's a very heterogeneous disease. You need therapeutics for all levels of the disease. We have a strong player in Darzalex. We also have Carvykti, Talvey, and Tecvayli. So we are very well positioned on that front. I would say we have about 5 readouts this year of phase 3 data. Some of that will be in IBD, the immunology space, for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. We've got psoriasis with an targeted oral peptide, which holds the promise, should it be successful, of biological efficacy, but in the convenience of a pill. So there's a number of elements that we're in right now, David, that I think position us very well. And usually when we speak about them at J&J, we feel very confident about the science. You can never be 100% sure, but we're very bullish on all of these assets.
Joe, I can't talk to anybody in your industry without talking about weight loss, or you can call it diabetes if you like. You can take your pick there, but do you have a dog in that hunt? Do you have a prospect of it really cashing in on what some of your competitors really have done extraordinarily well with?
Yeah, no, and really that's a testament to the industry itself, how we continue to come up with innovative medicines to address serious unmet medical need. Johnson & Johnson currently does not have a GLP-1 or a play in obesity. We tend to focus and do really well in areas like oncology, neuroscience, immunology, those areas where we have deep scientific expertise, clinical insights is proven to be best for us. I would never say never, but right now that's not one of our focus areas. But the good news is there's probably upwards of 8 to 10 companies currently in that space, so we can probably expect to see improvements there.
One last quick one, Joe. AI, generative AI is all the talk. Is that going to help you in med tech?
Yeah, David, it's kind of funny. We have about 2,000 to 3,000 data scientists within our employee workforce today. It is helping MedTech. As our very distinguished Chief Technology Officer, Jim Swanson, says, it's more of a productivity play for us right now. So we're getting better predictive analytics. It is helping with surgeries, as you can have prototypes as to what a patient may, how they may interact to certain surgical procedures. I would say there's promise, however, with insights about clinical data and how can we develop outcomes that are much more insightful than what maybe even a human can grasp. So potentially going through reams of data, millions of algorithms to find a biomarker or a certain string of assays through a genetic code that may work specifically well.